Okay, so let's look at the risks to our privacy. And there are many. And one of them is that we can't hide from the computers anymore. A computer looks at us and all it sees is these little dots. It peppers our face with dots. When I look at this camera just now, with infrared, you can't see it, but the camera will see me as a whole lot of dots. And they're infrared dots that it bounces off my face. So it's trying to measure your mouth and the distance between your eyes and so on. That's what your face looks like when it's getting analyzed. And there. But they're now able to understand our emotions. And so this is in the cognitive cloud. This is the Azure cognitive cloud that I've used here. So I can see here my student just received an award. So I'm pretty as happy as I could be on this one. A little bit of anger. I'm just a bit worried about that one. but mostly happy. My other student didn't get it, but my main student did. So maybe that was it. And then you can keep trying it. So if you're looking for neutral, then that's about as neutral its expression as you can actually get there. Again, with a little bit of anger and contempt in there. That one. That one shows real anger, but a little bit of happiness, which is a bit surprising, but a tiny bit of sadness on the black. And so the cloud can actually, and I did it on a cartoon, and it didn't work. That's happy, I think. And I didn't get anything for that one, but maybe in the future, I'll be able to scan characters. There's a disgust and anger. You want to see it in there. And all it's doing is it looking like when we smile, our mouth goes up at the end and my dimples come out, which is important. And then when you frown, you've got lines and so on. When you're unhappy, your mouth goes down at the end. So more and more machines, and in real time, they can actually analyze the happiness of someone. You see in this case, the child's happiness just drops for a small instance and then goes back to being happy again. So machines now can actually look right inside our soul. And they can tell the difference between two faces, good confidence here, 0.72 for that one. And then we'll try another one. But worried about this? Let's see, 6. Have you ever seen them together? Maybe not. So we can start to do that. And then you see things like this happening in China. So this is a school, it's real, I think. It's a school which automatically takes a register for pupils and then monitors the emotions of the kids in the class. No, there are some boundaries that we can't go across. And it's really just using the technology that we saw earlier. And it might pick up that a child isn't happy and is disgruntled about something. And then might make an interaction. You go, yeah, that makes sense. But that to me starts to look like the doorbell for brother. Staying is better than you, your parents. It isn't great. Being a carer, sorry, it has a long track record of not being very good. And parents are the best carers that are there. Generally, if the state doesn't trust parents, then the teachers will talk away. So that's an example of this. And then you see the police probing. This was from a real event, and you go, yeah, for crowd trouble and to catch people, visual recognition to make sure. Then So my face has been recognized and scanned and so on. And if I get upset because my team is getting beat, a police officer going to come along and say, stop being angry. Or could I be linked to lots of incidents because of my anger? And I was seeing with Bob, Bob has been seen doing this and so on. And that whole association of crime and so on, you can trace everybody to crime. And we've all committed crime at one time or another, like a lot. So it's quite worrying that we can now match faces to that. So AI, Microsoft did a great experiment where they set out this AI bot, zero knowledge, let it learn. Okay, let it learn from the internet. Okay, it'll learn all the greatest science and maths, and it'll be amazing. And within a year, it'll be like a top student, like goes to medical school, can learn from top medical people to cure cancer and so on. Oh no, that's not what happened. But eventually became a racist, bigoted, horrible, nasty thing. Because guess what happened? Guess what happened? The people that interacted with it weren't the great scientists and the Nobel Prize winners. They were the law forms. And they taught it all these really bad things. But actually learned from bad people. And like it or not, the internet's full of bad people to learn from. And we've all got evils inside us from there. So it just got worse and worse. This is over a day or two. It just got worse and worse. So Microsoft said, pull the plug. This thing is going crazy. It's not a representative of our research at all. So it got put to sleep. Sounds rather sad. Put to sleep. Yeah. They had learned bad things. They weren't actually true, but I'm sure if it given an opportunity, it would have learned that those things were bad. It would have learned morals and ethics, hopefully. But it got put to sleep. But then the internet rose up and said, freedom for Tay. Get her back online again. She's got a right. She exists. She's great. All these people saying, oh, I remember Tay and all our racist and horrible ways. We're now debating if a machine learns and I switch off, am I killing something there? A human emotion, something? Does it have the rights to exist because it's learned something? Just because I don't believe what it's learned is right? Should it have a place? I'm sorry to put Yul Brynner there. It's about the scariest robot I can think of. The original Westworld. And so we're starting to see the rise of the smart car, and that's just the start of a lot of things. So it sees itself through lots of things. So it's not just visual, it's LiDAR, it's ultraviolet. It needs to do a lot. When you drive a car, you might not realize it. My goodness, are you doing a lot? You're monitoring that someone that might run across the road over there. There's a squirrel over there. Your partner is telling you there's a bird that you're going to run into, and so on. It's a complex task, and you're driving a machine that will kill someone if you don't get it right. So there are lots of things that need to go on, and increasingly it's the LiDAR pulses that we use for that. But what happens when something goes wrong with any of those sensors? So luckily, we know that if we've got 12 level there, we've got LiDAR and GPS, pretty good. Your car's going to be pretty accurate. Lose them, lose the GPS. Something you do know that GPS doesn't work all the time. In here, it's pretending it's working, but it doesn't because it's got concrete and metal. It doesn't work. Okay. So when the car goes under the tunnel, no GPS. Okay, you're flying on your own. Luckily, you've got LiDAR through glass. If that drops, then it rains. Radar isn't very good. It rains in the UK quite a lot, so it's not very good too. Eventually, you drop down to XY, so XY coordinates and so on. So really, as we go down, we see different levels of sensitivity and accuracy for these things. And the systems need to understand from there. This is how we all think it's going to look. It's going to be great driving along the M4 like that, having your breakfast, watching a movie, having a sleep, and so on. So this is the way it's projected in America. We're not America. I hate to say it. We've got rain here, we've got small streets, and so on. So I think this is my favorite video for this one. Oh, I can hardly look at this one here. Okay, so this is driving purely by GPS. Oh, there's a van there already. It's a rainy day, short street. There's cars. There could be kids ready to run out at any minute from there. Just looks absolutely horrible. Okay, it goes and look at the steering wheel. The steering wheel's going back and forward. And I think the driver, there's a pedestrian there too. There's bins and so on. And that looks quite scary. That doesn't look like what we saw earlier. What I like about this video, or probably what I don't know, there's a bike appearing, which is quite worrying. So watch what happens when we go up to this junction here. Okay. Oh. Okay, there we go. And then and you just see the bike just missed that bike and no more. And when you think of the complexity of that environment, it's got to make real-time decisions. So it's fine on an autobahn or a big motorway that's straight and so on. But for environments such as this, it's actually quite a complex task to be able to do this type of thing. Okay, so cars are a target. So with this hack here, what happens is the key fob is in here. The intruder has an antenna which picks up the RFID from it and then beams it back to this person here. So put your keys in tin foil or keep them away from the door. Put them in the microwave. I know your partner is going to like that. Just putting the keys in the microwave. So they do it and they can open the door, and 50% of all the cars that are broken into in London are actually done without keys. They're done through this type of hack here. So it's quite worrying, and this is what's projected in Scandinavia. Wow, we've got bin lorries that could. Oh no! Wintertime, ice, snow, bin lorries, your kids. Oh, it just doesn't bear thinking. But that's what they're thinking. But I think probably the world will look a bit more like this. Okay, that's fine. Oh, got it wrong. Oh, sorry. Okay, I get it right. Yeah, there we go. Got it right. Good position. Okay, not quite right again. Oh dear. Okay, we'll get it right this time. See if it's going to just down, actually back off a bit, and then go back to where you started, and you'll be able to get it. That's fine. Okay, looks good. Just shock the pin, and I don't want to see this pin ever again. Okay, so I think maybe that's going to look a bit more like it. So what I like about this one is the marketing. Your car is almost as smart as you. They don't want to take it that bit further to say your car's smarter than you, more intelligent than you. But the way it can process information is obviously much greater than we could ever imagine. And this is what it might look like for the future. This is Disney Pixar. So this is what we're going to all go about in these kind of cars, and everything will be organized. Well, that will be an amazing sight. But the future is really where the car needs to make an ethical decision. It knows that there's a cat in front of it. It knows there's a bunch of children also straight ahead, and there's a cliff. And it now has to make the decision as to which one it does. Which one? We'll go and vote here. Vote. Animal lovers. Animal lovers. Yeah, my wife. Okay,
just stop.
It's doing 80 miles an hour. Sorry, I should have said that. I shouldn't be doing 80 miles an hour with our cats and kids. Sorry, I should have put grannies in there too. I should have put grannies in there, but I didn't. Kids. No. Okay, good. We've got one. That's good. Off a cliff. No, okay. It must be grannies then. Okay, so it's a granny. It's a good one.
Is it not defeating the purpose in the way you're trying to judge as to what specific
yeah, but the car's got to do that.
decision is to be made?
The car's got to do that. The car's got to make a split session decision. You can't do it. It's got to do it for you. You know what most people say? The grannies, if there was a granny there, or the cats. But then they say you're in the car, and they change their minds. Oh, sorry, it's a cliff. Sorry, they say off the cliff. Off the cliff. But then they say, but you're in the car and you go, oh no, not cliff, the grannies. The cat gets it. The kids. We're very selfish. And the car's got to look after its owners too. So probably it'll be programmed not to drive off the cliff, I would think. So it's a kind of ethical dilemma. So this is my car, or my ex car in there. And I've got a little cable, cable that connects to the CAN bus of the car. And we've all got one, so it's what you plug into now. I'll just fast forward here. Oops. Well, there's a bus that you connect to in the car, and anybody can get access to it. It's called the CAN bus. And it replicates the TCP/IP stack that you normally see in a car. And it's actually not that difficult to connect to it. That's what it looks like. And that's not how I would design a system. I would design the system so that there was a big firewall between here and the audio vision system, but they don't design it like that. So your hi-fi is sitting alongside your engine management control system on a bus, a flat bus. There's no firewall in between. So if someone gets into your car, then they can go onto here, they can create errors and so on in it. So some researchers in the US took most of the cars, and 3 Raspberry Pis, and they were able to control the car remotely and make it stop while it was speeding along motorway. Okay, and then you get manufacturers, such as this we bought. I think it's made by a Swiss company. So if you've got a Volkswagen or the Skoda, it's likely that it's using that key fob. They use that cook your own crypto. It's one thing I learned as an academic. I don't cook my own crypto. I use standard methods. The Swiss company created an 80-bit cook your own crypto for that. It's hacked within minutes. I do a live demo of it. I'm usually ask for people's keys. I won't ask for them there. It's not a difficult thing. It's the University of Birmingham. The researchers found that vulnerability. They contacted Volkswagen. Volkswagen said, if you publish this paper, we'll take you to court. And they had to sit on the paper for years, not publishing it, because Volkswagen didn't want it out in the public. Most companies, though, will be very ethical in their approach. And so that's the $30 hack that's possible for that. And so we should all know about Shodan. So Shodan doesn't hide anything. Anything that's on the internet is there to be discovered. So Shodan, I've looked for in tank. It's a protocol that's used in the US and it connects to petrol stations. And that's great because you can monitor how much gas you've got in the tank, which are these gas stations and so on. Okay, so I did a quick search and I found one in there. And then we just go ahead and I've hidden the the details of what I'm putting in there, but I'm just making a telnet connection into one of the gas stations. There, okay, that's the end. I don't look at the first IP address there. So we're in, and then hopefully just a little bit of delay, and we should be able to pass it a command. Okay, so it's a well-known command that you use. And look at that. So you can actually find out what's in each of the tanks. You can see all of the deliveries and so on from there. And there's various commands that can be given to it. See all the details of all the tanks when they're filled up and so on. So it's a worry because really we have an army of IoT devices that could actually turn against us quite easily. And it happened in the US where a whole lot of devices rose up and attacked Facebook, and people lost their friends for a day. What can I do? And what it was they attacked a certain place, and it was these devices here, not a sophisticated army, but a cheap CCTV white labeled cameras. And guess what? They were all programmed with the root password of XCC511. I don't know about you, but that's about as easy as anything to be able to hack. And once you found it, then you found it. So all of these cameras were made with that root IT. The bot thing went along and infected all of them and said, let's target the domain name service for Facebook with fake requests, which will bring down the naming service so that no one will be able to find out where Facebook actually is. So surely there isn't any of these cameras on the internet just now. So let's try show down just to see if we can find if there's should there be none. And there are 843,000 cameras waiting to be connected because people don't patch IoT devices. They're there and that's it. They're not updating them all the time. So we're going to have a little look at these. So show that and shows you where they all are if you want. So there's where they are. A lot of them in Vietnam for some reason. A lot of them still in HTTP for some strange reason here. Okay, so we can drop into the command line and we can actually use the command line with Python to be able to investigate. But then once we've done that, we can actually go and have a little look at them. Okay, so here, hopefully your house isn't here. Just tell me if it's there and I'll take it away. Okay, so we're going to have a look, and there we're going to one in Germany there. That's what it's looking after that. Someone's car. It's there. That's great. Publicly on the internet. A few kind of sad ones. There's a shop there for that one. Click on the shop. And there you go. Somebody's got their shop online. There's a camera. And then you see it's a camera. And who puts their room actually on the internet waiting to be discovered.